Managing a small team or business comes with a unique set of challenges. With limited resources and manpower, it's easy for things to feel chaotic and out of your control. How can you, as a leader, accomplish your goals while keeping your team engaged, effective, and accountable? This podcast will give you practical strategies you can implement now to lead your team or business to reach its fullest potential. Welcome to the Organizing Chaos podcast with your host, Danny Coleman.
Hey, what's going on, guys? Thanks so much for tuning in to another episode of Organizing Chaos, where we find small practical strategies for small teams and small businesses. So today I want to take a little bit of time to talk about culture. Culture is that ambiguous thing that is really, I call it the soul of your company. And I've talked about culture before, and I want to talk about three different things that you can do to improve the culture in your workplace immediately. And so these are definitely not the only three things. There are other things that I could talk about, but I want to give you something really practical to walk away with from today's episode. So I'm going to talk about these three things, and they all start with C, so it's easy for you to remember, the three C's for culture, which also starts with C. So the first thing I want to talk about is communication. I've talked about communication a lot on the show, and I will always talk about communication until the day I die. It is the biggest issue that we as humans face. It's just how we are. There's a lot of different reasons why people aren't good at communication, but leaders, it's on leaders, it's their responsibility to go the extra mile to try to bridge the gap between them and the people they're trying to communicate with. So if you're a business owner or you're a manager, you need to be going the extra mile to try to communicate with people. You can never feel like it's on them to communicate properly to you. Even though that might be realistic, or even though that might be fair, it's not realistic. What's realistic is for you to be what I call the aggressor in the communication relationship if you're the leader, and you need to be the person who's kind of going the extra step to make sure that communication is really good. So I've had episodes before about communication, but I'll hit on it briefly. Improve communication by things like having clear expectations set, right? So take your job responsibilities for employees, and then make sure that they're written out very clear and that they're very conclusive. Give them an objective that their position exists for. What is the reason that they're here? Those types of things help communication. Meetings. I just finished a series on meetings, the three types of meetings you need to be having in your business. If you've not watched those already, please do. Meetings help encourage good communication as well. Most small businesses, if there are any meetings, they're very small or short and haphazard. There's concerns about, what it'll cost me more in payroll and yada yada. None of that matters as much as good communication does. Good communication in your business can completely change how it goes. And having regular meetings are another way to improve communication. And I would say another way to improve communication is just to be making sure that whatever it is you want from your employees, you're over communicating it. Now, that doesn't mean you beat them over the head about, customer service or something like that. But every time that you guys are talking, whenever communiques or memos go out to your employees, or you're sending messages out to anybody, make sure that you're talking about the things that are the most important, right? So if it's customer service, for instance, you're always talking about customer service and about why it's important, and you should do it ad nauseum. You may feel like it's too much, but when you're feeling like it's too much, it's actually just enough, because you're dealing with a group of people. All these people come from different backgrounds, different experiences, different interests, different ways of learning, different education levels. And so that's why over-communication is so important. So when you have good communication, the reason that your culture is going to improve from that is that people are going to feel like they're understanding more about what's expected of them. They're going to understand what you're saying. They're not going to feel like there's passive aggressiveness coming from you or their managers. And for that fact, from the other employees in the business. So communication, focusing on communication and taking some steps towards improving communication is going to in turn improve your culture. The second thing is going to be community. Camaraderie. Sorry, I had community up there first, but I decided to change it to camaraderie. Camaraderie. So camaraderie, you're going to get that from having experiences with your employees that are not necessarily work-related. So you can do things like doing a quarterly get-together where you guys go out. I've talked about this before. Go bowling, go play laser tag, Do something that builds that creates shared experiences between you and your employees, and between your employees as well. Those really help people. It's team building exercises, really. And in corporate environments, it seems more awkward and maybe even silly at times. But when it's a small business, you guys are already very much like a family. And so take that a step further by doing things that families would do and have fun together. Find ways to have fun with your team, and it will pay dividends in the end. Don't think about work as like two different, there's work and then there's personal. I mean, there's some things that obviously belong in two different categories, but when you're a small business, that line gets blurred. Apologize for hitting the mic there. That line gets blurred a lot. And so it's up to you to kind of make sure that those experiences are being, or that you're creating those experiences as a leader, or giving your team opportunities to get to know each other in a non-work environment. And that builds that camaraderie that's built from there is going to improve your culture. People are going to feel more like they're all on the same team. And shared experiences just go really, really far in doing that. And just to give you a personal example, like there's people who I went to one music festival with them, and we're still friends. We met each other one time, and we still keep in touch just because we have that shared experience. So shared experiences, find ways to create them. Like I said, you can do things like go to bowling, laser tag, stuff like that. You can do stuff like have people over. If you're able to accommodate your team, do things like that. Just find ways to create those shared experiences amongst you and your employees. And then lastly is going to be collaboration. Find opportunities to invite your team into the decision-making process. So when you're faced with shifts that the business needs to take, don't take that all on yourself. Don't feel like it's all on you to do that. Invite them in, and not only are you going to share the burden of making a decision, but you're going to get buy-in and feedback from your employees, which is invaluable, right? Because they're the ones in the trenches. Their feedback's extremely important. They're going to give you perspectives that you just simply don't have anymore by not being in the trenches as often as they are. And then their buy-in. Buy-in is huge in terms of making sure that they are committed to the promises that they make you. So when you say, hey, Joanna, are you going to be able to accomplish this project? Are you going to be able to take this on? Are you going to be able to, deliver on this for me? And if so, what's your time frame? How soon can you do that? That's buy-in. You're giving Joanna, in this instance, the opportunity to make a promise, to give you her word. And she's a lot more likely to deliver on that than she is for you to just be like, here's Joanna, here's what I need, here's what I want it. That's just not a good way to manage. So without buy-in, without collaboration, you're not going to get the type of culture that you want, which is one where there's ownership in the decisions that are being made in the business, and there's ownership in the work that's being done, and ownership in the business, in like how you have. As if you're a small business owner or you're a manager, then you oftentimes will feel alone in the sense of, well, no one cares about the business like I do, or I just can't get people to care about things the way that I do. That's because you're not doing enough collaboration. You're not asking people, your employees, your team members, enough for their input on major decisions. And so it's just a misconception about leadership is being the person who has to make all the hard decisions or whatever. But in reality, yeah, you may be the person who gives the final yes or no to something, but there's no reason why you can't involve your team in that communication to collaborate with you all the way up until that point where a decision's made. So hopefully this was helpful for you and you're able to take some of this stuff and implement it into your business or in your team. It really is important. I mean, and it's not important's not even a good enough word for it. It is critical. If you want to attract good people, right? If you want good help, and if you want them to stay with you, and if you want them to give you 100% or more, you've got to have good culture. So skipping out on this or missing this is just signing a death warrant for your business, or just inviting pain into your business and into your life. So take the time to improve communication, to improve camaraderie, and to improve collaboration within your business, and you're going to see dividends for you on the culture front. So anyways, again, thanks so much for tuning in. If you have any questions, or if you would like to suggest a topic, or you're interested in being interviewed on my show, email me, danny@dannycoleman.me. I would love to hear from you, and you can also find me on Twitter and Instagram. I am Danny Coleman is my user name on both of those platforms. And yeah, thanks so much for tuning in. Be sure to like, share, subscribe, and all that fancy jazz. Leave me a review if you found this helpful, and even if you didn't, whatever. I would love honest feedback. So leave me a review, no matter how many stars it is. If it's less than 3, please kind of like give me a heads up. But yeah, no, just give me your feedback. I love your honest feedback. It really does help me. I'm really passionate about this. If you can't tell, it really does excite me to be able to help other people with their small businesses, with their small teams, to be able to get everyone feeling really fulfilled. So your feedback's really important. So anyways, thanks so much. And I'm going to go ahead and sign off, and I'll see you later.
Want more? Go to DannyColeman.me to download Danny's free small business hiring guide, which includes tips, templates, and tools, plus a step-by-step process you can use to find and keep high-quality employees for your small team or business.